A snowy and cold weather pattern are developing across the United States, where we will see the potential for feet of snowfall in some select locations over the next week, and we'll also be talking about the potential for Arctic air to fill in across a large chunk of the United States, bringing many areas sub-freezing and also sub-zero in some spots. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, and let's begin with what's happening across the country on this beautiful Thanksgiving morning. And for the most part, a lot of areas are actually dealing with plenty of cloud cover. In addition to that, we are also seeing rain and snow that are now moving into the northeast United States. All of this activity here that is located over the northeast is going to be filled with both snow and rain throughout the day today. So if you have any outdoor activities or if you're traveling, there could be some problems on the roadways as this will continue to move into New England later today, posing the threat for heavy snowfall that could lead to upwards of 6 to 10 inches of snow in some spots, and in addition to that, the potential for some heavy rainfall. And you might be thinking, behind this we are going to be seeing drier weather, right? Well, not necessarily, because we actually have a trough that is spinning north of the Great Lakes, and this is going to bring a very favorable wind direction along with enough moisture to bring the potential for feet of lake effect snow across areas in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan, and even maybe Indiana over the next 5 to 7 days. And we're going to talk more in detail about that here in just a moment. We also have some showers and isolated thunderstorms that will be possible in the southeast today. Isolated severe weather being a possibility, damaging winds, maybe even an isolated tornado or two, and we'll talk more about that here in just a moment. Now, we are beginning to see a development of a completely different weather pattern that is going to consist of colder weather and also more snow in areas like the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. So let's talk about this more in detail here for the next several days, beginning with today and tomorrow, which is where we're going to have a large storm just over Washington, D.C. or so as we go throughout the daytime today. This is going to bring two different things, one of which will be showers and thunderstorms across the southeast. It should be mostly isolated to scattered, just something to keep a close eye on if you have any outdoor activities today for Thanksgiving. And then back over in parts of the northeast, including New York, Pennsylvania, and even back into northern New England, there will be some heavy snowfall throughout the daytime today, and it'll be the worst as we go into tonight. So if you're planning on traveling maybe for like a Thanksgiving dinner or something like that, you might want to hold off on that because it's going to be snowing pretty heavily as we go into the late afternoon and into the early evening hours. This trough will be intensifying, meaning heavy snowfall is expected. We actually could see some spots today get over a foot of snow back over in Maine and New Hampshire. As we go into Friday, things get a little bit weird. Obviously, it looks like it's going to be very dry for most of the country, which in fact it will be, but look at this large trough that is sitting back over north of the Great Lakes. This is going to bring a northwesterly and westerly flow along with moisture and instability, is going to create the potential for some very significant lake effect snow across areas north of Syracuse, New York, back over south of Buffalo, back over into northwest Pennsylvania, northeast Ohio, western and northern Michigan, and even back over into the upper peninsula of Michigan are areas between Friday and Monday that could see feet of snowfall. And I'm talking about the potential even for some isolated spots getting over 50 to 60 inches of snowfall out of this particular event. So this is going to be a multi-day event that is occurring here across the Great Lakes. While this is happening, we're going to have another shot of some snowfall, which is going to begin late Friday night back over in Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, and Missouri. This will eventually track towards Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky, and even northern Tennessee as we go throughout the day Saturday. It's going to be a very small area, and there's not a whole lot of moisture, so I'm not expecting a snowstorm by any means, but this would be the first snowfall of the season, with many areas getting anywhere from just a few flurries, maybe upwards of a coating to an inch of snow in some spots. This will linger as we go into Sunday morning back over in the Appalachian Mountains, and by Monday into Tuesday, this lake effect snow will just continue, and this will start to come more out of the northwest, I think, as we go into Monday into Tuesday, which means other areas just south of Buffalo and even back over near Rochester could actually start to see some snowfall accumulation out of this as we go into Monday and Tuesday of next week. And then our next shot for legitimate snowfall that could accumulate back over in the Midwest would likely be around Tuesday from some sort of clipper system that comes out of Canada. Again, these are a little bit more hard to predict as well, but it is something that as we go into the early to mid portion of next week, I do think could impact areas like Wisconsin, maybe even Illinois, and as well as Michigan. And then eventually as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, there could again be some snow shots back over in parts of the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. Now, I do want to briefly talk about the threat of severe storms today. Then we're going to talk all about this winter storm activity and go more in depth about about it. This is what we're looking at for today back over in the southeast. Overall this morning, relatively dry, just some isolated thunderstorms. As we go into the afternoon hours, there could be a couple of storms that do intensify, bringing the potential for some damaging winds, hail, and maybe a brief tornado. But overall, this environment looks a lot less impressive than yesterday, meaning that I don't really think we're going to see a whole lot of severe weather today. But if there are any severe thunderstorm warnings, obviously make sure that you're heeding the warning today, especially since it is Thanksgiving. Now, the watches and warnings across the country do vary. There aren't a ton of them, but they are relatively significant. We do have winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in effect from Pennsylvania back over into Maine, where several inches of snow are expected today. And then these little blue boxes here, those are lake effect snow warnings that are in effect across parts of Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and as well as New York. So several areas under those particular warnings. And I do think we'll start to see some freeze warnings issued back over in North Texas because of the temperatures actually dropping below freezing likely into tomorrow morning. Now, with all that said, there will be winter storm impacts out of this. We actually have a purple area here just to the north of Syracuse, New York, which indicates that extreme impacts are expected there between today all the way through Saturday, and this will likely continue even into next week. Major impacts expected back over near Lake Erie and also back over into parts of northern Michigan. We also have moderate to minor travel impacts expected across most of the Northeast today, so again, make sure you're taking it slow on the roadways if you do end up traveling today for Thanksgiving. Now, as we go into the next several hours and also into tonight, we are going to start to see lake effect snow picking up in Michigan as we go into this afternoon and evening. Even some snow flurries in northern and northeastern Indiana and northwest Ohio. Eventually, as we go into tonight, heavy lake effect snow very likely back over in the upper peninsula of Michigan. This lake effect snow is just going to continue even into tomorrow, and it will likely continue into Saturday. Now, the snowfall here over in western Michigan isn't expected to be nearly as heavy as what it'll be back over in like Pennsylvania, Ohio, or New York, for example, but it will be enough to accumulate pretty decently over time. I'll show you the snowfall accumulation here in just a moment. The Northeast, again, completely different story. We are going to be dealing with snow throughout the day today with this trough, heavy snowfall across Vermont, New York, New Hampshire, and Maine. This will continue into the evening, and eventually by the overnight hours, it'll start to clear out back over in Maine. Lake effect snow will start to pick up by the overnight hours back over in two different areas. We have a pretty good fetch here, which means the winds are going to be over water for quite a bit of time, meaning that we're going to have even more moisture buildup, and this is going to lead to heavier lake effect snowfall, especially across parts of northwest Pennsylvania, northeast Ohio, and western New York. And this is going to continue again for several days, but it does begin, for the worst of it, it really starts to begin tomorrow. And again, we're going to see a train of snow happening all throughout the daytime tomorrow in northeast Ohio, northwest Pennsylvania, southwestern New York, and also north of Syracuse, where several inches of snow will be falling between now all the way through Friday night. So in terms of snowfall accumulation here between now all the way through Friday night, this is a very short time frame, only 48 hours, and a lot of this will be falling tomorrow. The HRRR model is reading that there could be some spots that pick up as much as 2 to 3 feet of snow within the span of 48 hours. That is a lot of snow. Significant accumulation is possible back over in northeast Ohio, even back over north of Syracuse. These areas will still pick up anywhere from 6 inches to even upwards of 18 inches of snow, and then just south of Buffalo in the same ballpark. And then anywhere back over in the northeast today into early overnight hours tonight, we are also going to be watching for a widespread 3 to 6 inches of snow, and some locations will easily pass a foot since this trough is intensifying, which means that heavier snowfall is likely. Now, if you're looking forward to feet of snowfall in areas like Illinois here over the next 2 or 3 days, well, close your eyes because this isn't going to please you. Look at this. This is what we're looking at in terms of lake effect snow between now and Friday night. Again, the most significant of it will be in western parts of Michigan. Could even see this bleed into southern Michigan as well, so just keep that in mind. Again, this lake effect snow will be trailing with the potential for 6 to 12 inches of snow in several areas, even a few spots picking up as much as 18 inches of snowfall. Now, beyond today and tomorrow, this lake effect snow will continue for many areas. The Midwest will not see a whole lot of snow, I don't think, between now and Monday. It'll be very on and off lake effect snow. The most of it will be back over in the upper peninsula of Michigan or back over in northern Michigan. And then our next shot for maybe some more legitimate snowfall would probably be sometime during the middle of next week. But even then, a little bit of uncertainty there. Again, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We'll continue to keep you posted with the latest on new updates with that new system that we'll be watching next week. Back over in the Northeast, a little bit of a different story. We're going to be dealing with lake effect snow for potentially 5 to 7 days. This is all the way through Wednesday of next week. That is possibly when the lake effect snow ends. The GFS model model brings another snowstorm here into the Northeast as we go into the middle of next week, though. So we might not be seeing much of an end to snowfall, at least back over here in parts of like Northwest Pennsylvania, for example, over the next 7 days. So again, be prepared for it. It is going to be probably a very snowy next 7 days. Now, in terms of snowfall accumulation out of the lake effect snow and also that little clipper system that'll be moving across parts of the Midwest Friday into Saturday, we could see again 1 to 3 inches of snowfall if you're lucky in northern Missouri back over near St. Louis. I wouldn't put much into that, though. I think really overall the ground's going to be a little bit too warm. I think a lot of those areas will be lucky even if you see a coating of snow. I think a lot of it will be flurries. Again, back over in parts of Michigan, we could have a few spots, even some bullseyes that pick up several feet of snow out of the lake effect snow potential. And then back over into the Northeast United States, again, we are expecting the potential for some very significant snowfall because of the lake effect snow between now all the way through about Tuesday and Wednesday. Several areas back over in western New York, just south of Buffalo, back into northwest Pennsylvania, will likely pick up anywhere from 40 to 55 inches of snow. Some spots could easily be higher. These are still conservative numbers. And then back over north of Syracuse, those areas as well, back over near Watertown, could pick up anywhere from 48 to 60 inches of snow, with again some isolated spots being even higher than that. So again, be ready for this. It is going to be a very busy next 5 to 7 days when it comes to lake effect snow. I don't think we're going to be going live for any of this, just for the record, because it's very localized, but we'll definitely keep a close eye on it in case we do have to. Back over in the Ohio Valley, as we go into the weekend, again, we'll have a little shot of some snow. This will be moving across parts of the lower Midwest and eventually through Kentucky and Tennessee as we go into Saturday night. Again, this isn't going to be much. It'll be mostly just flurries, even if it makes it to Kentucky or Tennessee. Just something to look out for. Again, a little bit, maybe a little bit of fun to go outside and look for some snow. Now, the temperatures obviously going to be falling as we go past Thanksgiving. We are going to have a huge cold blast ushering in to the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Northeast, and even down to the Southeast United States, with the coldest weather of the season so far really kicking in. Even as we go into the early portion of next week, this cold air mass will be really moving down into the Southeast, and the first freeze of the season is likely as far south as even maybe Florida as we go into Monday. And eventually into Tuesday into Wednesday of next week, I do think that cold air will finally move out. Some warmer air will start to return, I think, by the middle or end of next week. And then for actual temperatures, as we go into Monday morning, freezing temperatures are possible as far south as areas like Texas, Oklahoma, even maybe as far south as Florida. Again, if anything does change here, we're going to keep you posted with the latest. We'll have a video pretty much every day, I think, for the next several days, so make sure you're subscribed down below, like the video, and thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your Thanksgiving, and we will see you guys all again in the next video, probably tomorrow.